My story of being a childhood sexual abuse survivor is not rare. It's very, very common. In Utah, it's 1 in 3 females will experience some sort of sexual violence in their lifetime. Yeah, same for Idaho, 1 in 3. And Utah has some of the highest rates of child sexual abuse in the country. So we're in the top 5% for our numbers. So while I'm here and open and sharing my story, like the chances are that the two of you know many, many survivors is very, very high. It's just not talked about a ton. And that's part of why I'm so open to it, open to discussing it, is because the more we can remove the shame, the more we can educate and really prevent it from happening, which is my goal.
You are listening to the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, brought to you by Salty Electrolytes. On this podcast, your host, Riley Rogers, explores the stories of people who get after it, get things done, and earn their salt. You will hear from high achievers who discuss what makes them tick, how they got to where they are today, and where they're headed tomorrow. Perhaps this podcast will help you go earn your salt. Today I have Miyo Strong and Carl Sims. These guys have just cool stories. They're go-getters. They get things done. They're in awesome physical condition. They're fellow Jiu Jitsu athletes with me, and that's where we got to know each other. Carl actually introduced me to Miyo, and so we're going to hear the stories of Miyo being an abuse survivor and her involvement in the abuse world, helping other people who have been through that. Carl and his athletic endeavors and new things that he's got going on, and I just welcome you guys to the show. This is so cool. I'm excited.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
For
Riley.
sure. Carl, let's start with you, man. What was life like as a kid growing up, and who's Carl?
You bet. So I was born in Southern California and lived there until I was 12, and then I moved to Preston, Idaho. So at that point, I became an Idahoan, and that is my state that I claim. I don't really claim California, but yeah, so I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. So my athletic endeavors were stifled, let's say. Just part of the religion, just briefly, is there's they don't like the spirit, quote, of competition. So in my adult life, I left the religion, and so I'm married with 3 kids. I have a son and 2 daughters, and my amazing wife, Callie. I met her. She was attending Utah State. I was a loser, just hanging out, picking up hot girls, and I picked up my wife. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I own a machine shop.
One, huh?
She's pretty hot, but she's really intelligent, which is more important.
Nice.
But yeah, I own a machine shop. That's what I do professionally. A lot of people confuse, but I work with mechanical engineers with companies. I build the equipment for companies. Primarily, one of my primary customers is a plastic bag manufacturer. And then I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2008. I fought MMA before that, from 2006 to 2008. And then, I've ran a jiu-jitsu school. I've run several tournaments, Proving Grounds Invitational, the Pit Challenge, which Miyo and I are currently doing together now. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Who's Miyo?
Well, gosh, that's a hard act to follow, Carl. I actually started jiu-jitsu way before Carl in 1997. Back in the day, Pedro Sauer had one of his very first school here in Salt Lake City. So I joined my freshman year of college and fell in love immediately and got my blue belt under Pedro. And then I ended up quitting and took 15,
Like every blue belt.
yeah, but I took like 15 or 16 years off. I finished school. I had 3 children. I got married. Obviously, that was all in different order. I did get married first, and then I had my 3 children. But I came back to jiu-jitsu when my youngest turned 3, and she's currently 16. So it's kind of fun to come back. And I came back as a blue belt and begged for my white belt back, didn't get it back, and have just received my black belt from Unified Jiu Jitsu. Johnny Carlquist and James Gardner are my professors. And I received my black belt last fall. So it's been about a year. It'll be a year this year.
That's pretty cool. So when did you receive your black belt? What was the date?
I'm not one of those people. I think it was October of 25.
Yeah, so did I. That's why I'm asking, because I was October
Oh, okay.
25th, I think.
And where did you get
25.
yours?
I got mine from in Keith Owen's school. I don't remember Keith
Oh,
Owen
yeah.
before he passed,
Yeah.
but yeah, under Pedro also. So
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
cool.
a sub affiliation of Pedro's, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Funny you say that, Riley. So I should have said this. I'm actually a black belt under Johnny Carlquist as well, and James
cool.
Gardner. Even though I live up north, I live in the Logan, Utah area. We were an affiliate of Johnny and James. So that's actually was kind of Miyo and I's first introduction. I call Miyo my little sister. She's an amazing lady. So
I
yeah.
love it. That is pretty cool. So, no, I'm excited. That's yeah. So there was this guy in Carlos Machado's affiliation that I met. His name's Roger, and he and I were both supposed to test last spring for our black belts, but we got kind of whining together because we both got sick and couldn't test last spring, and so then it got pushed back to the fall. And somehow, even though we're in, he's in Dallas and I'm up here in Idaho, he and I ended up testing on the same day and got our black belts the same day. So it's just kind of a cool deal. So we share that experience of having to put it off, and the disappointment of that. But did you figure out your date?
No, I was looking. It's October of 25 sometime. But the cool part is my husband, Jason, got to tie it on me with Johnny. So
That's cool as crud.
yeah, that was super fun too.
That is super cool. So, question just for my own sake, when you back in '97 when you started, did you know Keith Owen? Did you train with him then?
Nope.
Because he was still coming down there to train with Pedro at the time. He didn't have a school yet, but he was coming down there to train.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember him from there.
Okay.
Coincidentally, Riley, on a Facebook memory that popped up today, 15 years ago, I was in Boise competing at the Northwest Submission Challenge, and there was a comment from Keith, "Nice to finally meet you." And so I know Keith, and I have a funny story about Keith. I went and trained at Keith's gym when I was a blue belt, and Keith just kind of walked around and watched me train, and Keith ended up rolling with me and putting me in a twister when I was a blue belt and tapped me with it. Anyhow, for those that don't know, the twister is an embarrassing move to get put on you. So he got me. Yeah, Keith's great.
You have to mess up several times to get put in a twister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've got those stories too where he just dominated me. It was like that guy, I felt like there was force fields around him and I couldn't get anything from any angle, and it was, an interesting experience, man. He was a cool dude. But how about Mike Diaz, Mio? Did you train with him too back then?
Mike was a blue belt when I started. Yeah, all of them. Like I remember, Sean Weaver, Paul Sizemore, Mike Diaz, Jorge Jimenez, like Rob Handley, all the original OG crew. Like it was before even Johnny started jiu-jitsu. That's what's strange too.
Yeah, you probably had no idea what you had in front of you, huh? As far as learning.
No,
under
actually,
Pedro.
I feel like I did because with Pedro, like it was still so new and the UFC had just started, really making it into the mainstream. And that's why I started jiu-jitsu in the first place, is because it was shown as this smaller person's, advantage type of sport. And so I was really drawn to it. And, it's always felt cult-like. Any gym you walk into, right, from like just a regular person's point of view, you're gonna be like, oh, this is weird. It's like a cult. But like Pedro's so charismatic and he's so easy to just like fall in love with. And he really did like obviously practiced what he preached, and like the proof was in the pudding. He was not a large human, and he was just an incredible, and still is an incredible jujitsu practitioner. So it was easy for me to believe in the magic sauce of what jujitsu is.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. So, Mio, I want to ask you about your survivor story. I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit, kind of when stuff started to kind of go wrong, and then where jiu-jitsu does play into that. Again, this is not
Yeah.
really a jiu-jitsu podcast, but I want to bring this up because we're going to talk about self-defense in this
Yeah, yeah,
episode here.
definitely. And
So,
it is such a part of who I am, and I'm very open with it, and not a lot of survivors are. So it's a good way to like educate and talk candidly. But it's interesting, like my story of being a childhood sexual abuse survivor is not rare. It's very, very common. In Utah, it's 1 in 3 females will experience some sort of sexual violence in their lifetime. Yeah, same for Idaho, 1 in 3. And Utah has some of the highest rates of child sexual abuse in the country. So we're in the top 5% for our numbers. So while I'm here and open and sharing my story, like the chances are that the two of you know many, many survivors is very, very high. It's just not talked about a ton. And that's part of why I'm so open to it, open to discussing it, is because the more we can remove the shame, the more we can educate and really prevent it from happening, which is my goal. But yeah, it's not a special story. I was abused by a family member from the ages of like 7 to about 14. And a lot of the reasons why I came to jujitsu was surrounding being that survivor. And before I had met Pedro, I'd actually done, it wasn't called Salt Lake Muay Thai at the time, but there was a striking gym that did a women's self-defense seminar. So me and my girlfriends, we signed up. None of us had done any sort of combat sport or martial art or anything, but we had all been athletes in different areas. And so we're like, oh, we got this, we got this. And it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had on the mat. And the reason is it was a big, roided out, 280-pound cop who basically shamed everybody in the room and then beat the shit out of us. And
Jeez.
yeah, no, I know. And that's why self-defense has such a bad rep within the healing communities and within the advocacy communities. Like there's the coalitions against sexual assault here that are like national organizations, and there's self-defense, and they hate each other, and they don't ever well, they don't hate each other. They're very misunderstood on both ends of the aisle. And so my program with Smart Defense really is that bridge. And I'm very, very proud of the way we're able to kind of combine both communities, because everybody is going to be required to really prevent and change the culture. But the self-defense, I had a terrible experience with it. Terrible. I was massively triggered on the mat. Everything I heard was like, well, why'd you do that? Why are you in that position? Why did you wear that? Why did you drink that? Now you're 10 steps behind. Da, da, da. Like it was very victim blaming in the language, and the rape culture was very pervasive. And then on top of that, when we pressure tested what we learned at the first half of the day, there was no like, he had no idea what disassociation looked like. He had no idea what trauma responses looked like. And so you basically just, it was bad. It was really, there were many, many women on the mat that day that paid to get re-traumatized. And that was my first initial introduction into the self-defense world. And I was like, holy no, there's something just felt really wrong about it. And I was really, I felt like I was set back in my healing journey, even though I was trying to take proactive steps to progress my healing journey. I feel like just that one
yeah.
week caused so much regression for me. Fear, night terrors, anxiety, like all these other physiological responses that I had already worked through came rushing back. And so it took me about 6 months to really like get a handle back. Night terrors were one thing that I was really struggling with. And I also had a stalker my freshman year in college, and so that didn't help all of this. But this was, before this. And when I found jujitsu, I had been watching the UFC and seeing buzz about it, and I had been an athlete my whole life, and was looking in college to continue to be active and competitive, but I wasn't a D1 athlete, and I was going to the U, and there's no way I was going to make the U's female soccer team. So I was looking for ways to stay competitive, stay active. And from the very first day I went to jujitsu, I felt hooked. Just, I loved it. It was made me feel good. And gradually I started to love and trust my body again, and to really feel and be present in my body. One of the trauma responses that we see often is called flight, which is disassociation. And that was my flight and freeze were kind of my trauma responses just naturally as a child. And so that disassociation is something that you really have to struggle to work through. And staying present in your body is one of the goals, clearly. And jujitsu does that. And I had
Okay,
found
so
on.
I have some questions. I want to back up just a little bit, because this thing you talked about this roided out monster who wants to drag you guys in there and teach you self-defense, but just beat the crap out of you. Again, re-traumatize was the word you used.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how to articulate what I'm trying to ask, because you also use the term victim blaming, right? But that does play a part in things, right? Because there's the way I've heard it phrased before is you can avoid a lot of things, especially dangerous situations out in public, more so than these private, family things like you were dealing with. But I've heard it said, if you avoid stupid people, stupid places, stupid times, doing stupid things, right? And 90% of the stuff out there in the field, if you will, can be avoided. Do you feel like that's a victim blaming thing, or do you think that's just some wisdom that can be added to these situations? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's some wisdom to it. However, I will say it's ignorant, because and not ignorant in a negative, you're a bad person type of ignorancy. It's just that not close
Like
to.
it misses something, it misses a component, is that what you're
Well,
saying?
yeah, so what you're not taking into account is that 90%, close to, it's less, slightly less than 90% of all sexual violence happens at the hands of somebody you already know and have a relationship
Right.
with. So the
Yeah.
like avoid stupid.
Which isn't one of those things, right? It's not a stupid time, stupid place, stupid people. It's
Right, right.
like maybe
It's your
stupid
boyfriend,
people
it's your
involved, but
husband, it's
it's
your coach, it's your coworker, it's your
yeah.
bishop, it's your
Yeah.
cousin. Like your biggest risks are somebody that already is in within your circle of trust,
You're
right? So
right.
it's hard to say, hey, like I have a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old daughter, and I definitely am like, okay, watch your drink, do that, like all these stupid things, stupid places. But in reality, their biggest risk is who they're in relationships with, and
Yeah.
dating and things like that. So it's harder. Yes, you don't want to go on a date drunk, but still, if you are drunk, you can't give consent, and so nobody still
Yeah.
has a right to do anything to you. And
Yeah.
anytime you switch the narrative from like, oh, you're doing stupid things in stupid places, and so therefore you deserve to get abused, that's absolutely not the correct train of thought, and that's a hill I'll die
Yeah.
on.
Well, and it's
Hey,
it's funny because
Riley.
I never took it to be that I never took it from that point of view where I thought that statement meant that the victim had some um, deserved it somehow. I've always felt like that was like, hey, here's the little part you can play in this that will help. Rather than, and here's what I'm thinking about, is I did a little self-defense hour, it was a 1 hour or hour and a half, something with some middle school girls at church, right?
Mhm.
And I think they expected me to come in there and show them these jiu-jitsu moves that was going to take out this 280-pound roided monster. And I'm like, there is no move in the world I'm going to show you that's going to, this 90-pound junior high girl is going to beat that guy up. I can tell you how to run away. I can tell you how to avoid contact with this guy. But this is the only thing I can show you in 1 hour. And in fact, if I had 1,000 hours, I'm not going to teach you how to beat that guy up. So there's this like very practical side of it. And that's how I've always viewed those statements, is like there's a very practical thing you can do to avoid some of this. But what you're talking about is more things done in private with people who you already trust, and these
authority.
Very much not avoidable things, right?
Yeah. Because like say you're teaching these, which by the way, kudos to you for like giving them the reality of like, no, there's no jiu-jitsu move that's gonna change the way, this physical altercation can go down. But anytime you say stupid, right? So if you do stupid things or make stupid choices, that implies guilt and responsibility. Whereas that doesn't excuse the predatory behavior. Like if I'm with you guys and I'm drunk off my ass and I'm naked, I'm not going to get assaulted by either of you, because you as the perpetrator are not going to, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you can see it a few different ways, but like a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old, whoever you're, teaching, their soccer coach or their whatever coach, right, who they already trust and are a little bit fearful of the authority, they have power over them, and it never is like full-blown rape, right? It's going to be grooming. They're going to test you. They're going to try to see what they can get away with. Are your parents involved? Like there's so many other factors that go into predatory behavior that it's super important that when you do teach or expose young girls to self-defense in any form, it's got to start with believing that they are not, that nobody has a right to touch them no matter what. Like if you go out and you wear, Carl always hates when I wear like a bikini and I post it online, right? He hates that. But at the same time, right, it doesn't, just because I wear a bikini isn't an invitation for somebody to touch my vagina, right? It's going to be the right people in the right situations are always going to respect your boundaries no matter what.
Yeah. So how would you better phrase that statement I made with the stupid place, stupid time, stupid people, stupid?
I would say you preface, well, for myself personally, I preface every self-defense class that I start with, it does not matter what you wear, where you go, who you're with. Nobody has a right to touch you without your enthusiastic consent. Mm-hmm. Are there ways to mitigate risk? So there's my phrase that I tell my daughters. Can you mitigate your risk factors? Yes. Does that change the guilt? No. Like perpetrators are always going to be solely responsible for their actions. But my daughters are very well versed in like, we don't leave our drinks unattended. We have the buddy system. We share locations. We don't ever meet a blind date or somebody you've met online with, not in a public place with friends. Like there are certain risk mitigators that you can help and encourage them to do. But the most important thing is really to remove that shame and stigma and guilt, because that will greatly impede their desire to share and heal and live their life to the fullest. Whereas,
yeah, I could see that maybe not wanting to admit because they heard the word stupid. So then all of a sudden, I don't want to be categorized as that, so I'm just not going to say anything. Right?
Well, no, yeah, and but I love that you bring it up. But the way I would phrase it is, there are certain ways to mitigate your risk. However, no matter what, you are not at fault.
Yeah.
If I may, Riley.
For sure, yeah.
It's interesting. I taught self-defense quite a bit before meeting Miyo. A lot of young women's group with LDS culture here in Utah, etc. The problem comes in is when we're teaching self-defense is sometimes we're not educated enough on it, that we're teaching things that maybe are victim blaming. And I'm going to use an example, a couple of things. One, I realize what you're saying, Riley, and it's something that I've taught for years when I teach self-defense, is situational awareness. So you can mitigate the risk, like Mio's saying, by don't park in the under parking at college. Don't park your car under a light, etc. that you can do. But it's interesting. Mio and I taught at Southern Utah University, kind of launched the Smart Defense program in the colleges. And when I was down there, and this is a mistake on my part, and Mio had to correct me. I don't know if you remember this, Mio. It stuck with me because it's kind of going along the lines of what you're saying, Riley. One of the girls said to us, Mio, she said, I go running, and the only time I can run is this time to this time. And I think she may have said that she saw a car following her or something. And my first response, Riley, was, well, maybe you shouldn't run at that time. And Mio gave me the death stare, looked at me, and then corrected me and made me realize, yes, mitigating risk, but I'm kind of blaming her for being followed. It's not her fault that there's creepers out there. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard for us as men. Another thing that they teach, and I realized this one of the first classes I taught with Mio as well. She went around and asked every lady, and it was at a college as well. It was at SUU. She said, when you guys go somewhere, what are your thoughts? And they're always thinking about, I can't park here. I can't. They're scared. And then she turned to me and she said, do you ever worry about when you go anywhere? And I'm like, no, because I don't. I'm a guy. I'm a physical guy. I'm, I carry a gun, etc. I don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Understanding the female perspective, working with the Smart Foundation, working with Mio and Smart Defense has opened my eyes to a lot of the things that we maybe take for granted, that we don't understand, that even when we don't think we're victim blaming, we are. Because we're saying, well, you shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have had that drink. You shouldn't have done that. And that makes them clam up and say, okay, I'm not going to talk about it. So we have to be really careful. And then the other thing is that the Smart Foundation is pushing now is men's classes. And Mio, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, because at the end of the day, Riley, if Mio says something to you in certain situations, it's not going to be nearly as maybe impactful on you as if I say that, another man chastising you for being a douche when it comes to women. So, maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, and he's not calling you a douche by any means, right?
No.
I didn't take it that way at all. No,
this is all just a teaching moment. And I'm so grateful for the platform. And
sure, I didn't mean that at all.
Yeah,
I was just saying,
didn't take it
guys
that way.
Guys have to call guys out is what it comes down to.
Well, and
because we're the perpetrators.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So along the lines of like true prevention work, women's self-defense classes are not true prevention work. Like there's no way, that we're the perpetrators. And 2%. So 2% of sexual violence perpetrators, they are female. 98% are men. So if you're not reaching the male audience for prevention, then you're not moving the needle. And so do you know Marcus Johnson? You should have him on. He is phenomenal. I love him. He's a Pedro Star black belt as well. But he and I have developed this men's program, and it's more him that's developed this. It's called the Warrior Within, essentially. Like, you want to teach these men to be capable and emotionally intelligent and all of these things, but also give them some skills to think if they need to step in. And this is not like your average blue belt level, right? This is just the beginnings of how do you intervene safely. And so you pepper in some striking, some basic wrestling, grappling concepts, and you get a chance to get these men in a room that's a male-only space. Women are not allowed in this space, which there's not enough male-only spaces, I feel like. And you get in there and you start educating them on what is rape culture, what does consent look like, what are boundaries, what can we do. Everybody's got a mother, there's sisters, daughters, there's, loved ones, and really educating the male population to what leads to perpetration can help. Because like Carl said, if we see behaviors that are bringing us red flags, like to me, even the men I just love, 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 and I'm tight with, if they tell like a inappropriate rape joke, like I'm calling them out on it. And, because rape jokes, especially on the mat, don't belong there.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's impactful when it comes from me because I'm well educated and I can speak to it in a kind and loving way. But when Jason calls them out about it on the mat, immediately they're like, oh shit. Like a guy that I fear and respect and love is calling me out on this behavior. You're more likely to change it than if somebody that, like, most men don't relate to women,
Yeah.
and a lot of women out there are so far overcorrected that they almost alienate those questions and those conversations with men because all men are bad, we hate men, we choose the bear, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the answer either. We have to find this common ground and this bridge so that the whole culture and society then gets elevated out of this sexual violent epidemic.
Yeah, for real. No, I had I was in a jiu-jitsu like school one time, and there were some guys grappling. It was an open mat situation, and I saw it was all guys there, right? But one of the dudes, one of the kind of, no, I want to call it more alpha guys in the room, was doing some really inappropriate crap to another dude. And it was, you could probably categorize it as rape jokes, but they were grappling at the time, and this dude had another guy pinned on the ground, and he was saying some things and doing some things, and it pissed me off, and I pulled him aside and I said, hey, dude, no way. That's not happening anywhere in my presence. And it was one of those conversations, it was a very difficult conversation. And I think still to this day, I'm not sure he really felt like it was justified, the chewing out that I gave him. But it was like, listen, there's a power disparity here. And you're putting this guy in a place of humility. You just humiliated him in front of everybody. And you did it sexually. With sexual jokes, what you thought was jokes. And that guy is not feeling the same way about that conversation as you were. Have you seen those kind of things? Is that what you're referring to? All right, you sweaty buggers. That liquid dripping off your forehead and down your back contains minerals that are critical for high performance. If you don't put those minerals back, you're not going to perform well. This is where salty electrolytes comes in. Salt contains 6 electrolyte minerals plus a touch of iodine to help you replenish after a hard workout. Salt is the only electrolyte supplement to pair every mineral with its counterpart, giving you the most robust mineral profile on the market, period. Head over to goearnyoursalt.com today to get some for yourself. Use the code GOEARNYOURSALT to get 15% off your first order. And now, my friends, go earn your salt.
It's been a while since I've been in that presence because Unified is a gem in the desert. Like it's such a great environment.
Yeah.
There's so many amazing, healthy men, and it has the largest women's team in the state. So they're used to training and being around women. So I think that does impact the culture there. But yeah, I have seen that in the past, and that's exactly because it's not only does that alpha black belt well respected guy have that power dynamic and just that one-on-one interaction is inappropriate, but the younger like white and blue belts coming up who are just so like wide-eyed and they just want to take everything in, if they see that behavior as normalized, they're more likely to repeat it. And then if it's normalized in public on the mat, imagine what it's normalized in the private behind closed doors.
No,
So
and that was exactly my fear, right? Because there were some lower belts there, guys who I know looked up to that guy, and I'm like, dude, do you not see what you just did?
Yes, I love that you
Not
called
cool.
it out. And you can be nice about it. You can do it in private. You can be an asshole right in front of everybody too. Like there's so many levels to starting those conversations, but I
Yeah.
love that you did that because
No, and I thought about it in that regard too, because I could have done exactly the same thing, then embarrassed him in front of everyone. Now I told him to stop in front of everyone, but I had the conversation one on
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Partly because I didn't want to then take it to another level of me doing the same thing, feeling
yeah,
like I'm embarrassing him in front of the other guys, right?
yeah, yeah.
You're very aware, Riley. So
Well,
that's part of it is
That's
just
fair.
guys calling and under other guys kind of showing the guys the way, right? I think we talked about this before, Riley, about father figures or someone that's going to help you understand the way to treat women, to treat your fellow man, to treat people in general. But now you can see why I partnered up with Mio in almost everything I do, because she's so much more eloquent than I am. So she, she,
oh my gosh,
No.
she's
love it.
Carl
she's able
held
to
me down a
explain things.
lot. Carl has brought me down in my feminine rage to like a very nice, neutral,
My
happily.
nickname. What's my nickname? My nickname for Mio was the little ball of hate, because she was when I started Proving Grounds in 2016. I met Mio shortly after, and then she kind of teamed up and was part of Proving Grounds. And half the time I'd have to say, Mio, relax. It's kind of what Mio was saying earlier. Sometimes people go way
Overcorrect.
too far the other way, right?
Right.
Overcorrect, and and Mio's amazing, but uh, how do I say?
You can
I
be
had to pull her back a little bit.
No, Mio, you said something earlier where you brought up those memes we see online, like we choose the bear,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
choose a man or choose a bear. We'll choose the bear. It's like, and we all know how foolish that really is. But sometimes you can kind of identify how ladies got there, you know.
Well, it's
But
funny you
it's not a
say.
healthy place to stay, is it?
Well, you say it's foolish to go there, or people can see it as an obvious it's foolish there, but I legit would choose the bear to be alone.
No, stop me.
No, so here's the thing. Think about all the like literal translations of that. Running,
Keep going. I
hiding,
want to hear. I want to hear this because
right?
yeah,
Like if I'm alone, and again, it's risk mitigation. Am I going to go camping by myself? No. Am I not going to carry a firearm? No. But say for some reason I don't have my firearm. Say for some reason I get separated from my group. Say there's like all these, literal women alone in the woods type scenarios that could come up. And the fear would be the same. Like the level of fear of like if I saw a man alone with, and you can tell right away quick with your gut instinct, like women need to pay closer, men too need to pay closer attention to their gut instincts, right? And what does make the back of your hair, the hair on the back of your neck rise. And if you see a bear 100 yards off, and obviously you're scared, holy shit, there's a bear, you're going to run the other way. It's the exact same thing when I see a man 100 miles away, 100 yards away.
any man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm going to risk mitigate because
Yeah,
I have
keep talking.
a very healthy reality of like one-on-one with the man. I don't care that I'm a fucking black belt that's had a cage fight and that carries. I'm not even going to engage, right? If I feel like it's a risk, nope, sorry, not out of there. But so yes, it is to some people literally foolish, but also from 99% of the women out there in this space, it makes perfect sense to
So
choose
yeah,
there.
now because one of the things that you said, the meme was the original context, original place I saw it was any man or a bear, and I'm like, you're married, right? You got Jason in the house right there with you. He's a man, but you're not worried about him, right?
No.
So it's not any man. It's the unknown man. It's the there.
And
So that's where the meme goes foolish. I feel is because it's not just any man, right?
no, 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 no. It's like the literal translation of alone in the woods.
Yeah.
And it's a strange bear or a strange man. I'm having the same fear reaction.
Yeah.
But
Now
yeah,
I'll tell you
there's
this,
men.
Carl. You speak to this too, but if I'm out in the woods, my son and his friend. Now my son he's a blue belt in Jiu Jitsu, and he carries a gun with him, and he's 210 pounds of physical 20-year-old, right? And he's an intimidating fella all by himself, and his buddy's about the same size as he is. But they were out camping one night out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's this dude wandering around their camp. And they did the same thing. Both their guard hairs are going up. Like, who is this guy? What's he doing near our camp? We don't know who he is. They're arming themselves and getting ready for a fight. Standing their ground sort of thing. Like, we're not leaving our camp, but we're going to take this guy out if we need to. So it's not just a female thing, right? Would you say that, Carl?
I would definitely agree. And I think, Riley, I'm going to be that middle ground between probably what Miyo was saying. I agree to a point, and it comes down to, like you say, situational awareness, one, and two, understanding every man is not a bad guy. Every man's not going to attack a woman. And then in that scenario, like if I I cougar hunt in the winter, and so I'm out in the woods. If I came across a guy out in the woods, out in that scenario, I'd be like, whoa, what's he doing? This is kind of strange that he'd be out here. Versus a different situation. I'm out in the middle of the night. Let me put it this way. This is how I explain it. I'm out in the middle of the night walking down the street. I walk in a dark alley and I see a guy in a dark alley. I'm probably going to keep going a different direction just to mitigate potential issues.
For sure.
However, if I'm just in a crowd walking by, and so it's situational, and I understand the whole bear versus guy in the woods thing, but I think it's just been taken so far that all of us men are, he's a creeper, he's going to attack me, and it gets to the point, Miyo and I have a friend who is like this, just every man is hated, and I'm like, time out. There's guys like me. I'm the number one advocate for women. I have daughters, etc., etc. So I think that blanket statement, I'd rather take a man over a bear, a bear over a man, or be isolated with a bear over a man. It's situational, like everything. And so, yes. Yeah. But like your son and his friend, if I'm in the woods and someone's coming around my camp, you got a problem, buddy. Yeah.
It's not, however, flip that situation. Say you're cougar hunting, right? And rather than a man, you see a woman. You're going to try and go help that woman, not be fearful of that woman.
You don't live in the Cache Valley. Have you seen some of these ladies? I'm joking. But yes, I know what you're saying.
We had a situation here in Boise it's been, 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 10 by now, but there was these two ladies out on a trail. And there was a guy camping out there. And these two ladies beat the guy to death for no one knows why. But they went into his camp and they ended up killing him. They caved in his head with a rock. I mean, it was a situation where I can't remember the details behind it, but it turned out they were the predators, and they right here in our foothills. It was the craziest thing.
So did he get raped before he got murdered?
No. There was no sexual part about it. He just got murdered, but
the man would take her first and then murder her.
Yeah, this is probably true. Where did you get balloons?
We saw those. That's awesome.
I don't know. I did something and like balloons came out.
It's a celebration.
How did that? That's kind of cool. That was neat, but not at the right time. You said something about getting raped before the murder, and then the balloons came up.
Yeah.
The timing of the balloons was terrible.
Yeah.
No, I love your take on it though, because I do think back to this, stupid time, stupid places, the risk mitigation thing that I'm talking about. There probably is just a way better way to phrase that, because you used risk mitigation. What did you used a phrase too, Carl? And it's I'm losing the.
Situational awareness.
Situational awareness, yeah. Those two phrases are just way better way to put it, Yeah. So I will correct that and take the word stupid out of it. How's that?
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. But what's interesting?
Because that is genuinely what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is the same thing. I had a conversation probably 2 years ago because my daughters 16 and 19, they are drop dead gorgeous. They are just these beautiful, smart, amazing women, but they like to dress like every other teenager dresses. And to me as a mom, I'm like, freaking put some clothes on. Like, what are you doing? But at the
Yeah.
same time, again, that messaging of like, well, if you dress like that, you're gonna then get raped and it'll be your fault is not the messaging I want my kids to have. So I actually asked the executive director of UCASA, which is the Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I asked her at a conference, I'm like, hey, I just need some help with like verbalizing this under a trauma informed lens. Like, what do you suggest? And she's actually the one that said, well, we talk a lot about risk mitigation. And I was like, okay, that takes the responsibility and the
Yeah.
blame and the shame out. And so that's what I've used ever since. So shout out to Liliana. That was her idea.
Boom. Well, that's a great way to put it. Something else you mentioned, because again, this women's self-defense thing, and it's self-defense period, but there's this meathead mentality of this 280-pound roided cop you talked about that wanted to beat everybody up, that we get these people that tend to kind of have that machismo, right? And I've seen it in the firearms training. I've seen it in Jiu Jitsu training. I've seen it in Krav Maga, whatever it happens to be. But it's the self-defense kind of stereotype. How can we do it better? I want to hear from both of you on this.
Yeah, Carl, do you mind if because it's funny.
Yeah,
I'll
for
start
sure.
just because this came
Yeah.
up yesterday and the day before for me. And so I do weapons-based training. I'm not a weapons specialist by any means. I do firearms training, but I am not a firearms specialist by any means. So I really like to learn from whoever I can, whenever I can. But when people want to blend self-defense, smart defense, women's self-defense with these weapons worlds, I'm game. Like, yeah, let's work through it. Let's troubleshoot it. Like, what would I do versus what would you do? Because my size and strength difference is very, Carl doing a move is different than me doing a move. And so this week I filmed some content with a pretty big famous weapons influencer online, and we collaborated on a reel. And the freaking comments of like, that'll never work, or you're a pincushion, or you're so stupid, or if you don't have a gun, da 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 da. Like, it's this like really negative, shameful banter. And one, it's taken out of context. Yeah, motherfucker, I carry a gun. You think I'm not going to try and shoot him first? Great. But that was not
Yeah.
the drill. And so I think part of changing that culture and that narrative requires communication. And it requires communication from a curiosity standpoint. Like, for me, if I can tell the negative comment is maybe coming from just a place of ignorance, I'm going to actually take the time to explain myself and to try to educate, but then also turn it around and be curious. Like, what do you suggest? Like, because it's
Yeah.
got to be more than just pull a gun, because that is not applicable in 90% of the scenarios. Like,
Right.
so what do you suggest? Like, I want to learn, but also I stand by what I do because I try to do it from a realistic point of view. Like, I'm going to get it pressure tested. I'm going to be the student, not just the teacher. And so having that communication and that coming from it from a place of curiosity, like, for example, I used to think Krav Maga was stupid, right? Like, I was like, oh, Krav Maga, poke him in the eye, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I started training Krav, and I was like, holy shit, this is more effective for women than jujitsu when it comes to self-defense. The eyes, the throat, the groin, all the things that are illegal in an MMA fight are what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm not going to throw a flying armbar on you. Like, that's not going to work. Right.
Sure.
So then I learned, because I was curious and I was open-minded enough to go and start and train and pick what worked for me out of that. So I think changing that black and white culture has to come from a communication standpoint, but also just being curious and open-minded is something we're lacking in society, not just this area.
Yeah, I see this kind of thread in what you said there of being able to pull these nuggets out that were actually learning experience that something you could actually get a hold of, even though there's these trolls and a bunch of other just BS in there, right? You find that thing that works, that you can pressure test, that actually sticks, but the rest of it you can disregard, right? And I think that's martial arts in general. That's life in
I was
general.
going to say,
That's
it's what I say, Riley, when I attend a seminar. I'm not going to learn or take away everything that I learned in that jiu-jitsu seminar.
Yeah.
But there may be a nugget or two that I gained. And also, I think along those lines, when you were talking about the big 280-pound meathead teaching a self-defense class, that's one thing I admire, I love about the Smart Defense is it's a women's led program. So they have an assistant who's usually a male, but just so that the women can feel the difference when I grab them or another gentleman grabs them versus when Miyo grabs them. But I think it is important that it's women led for women, because Miyo understands things that I'm not going to understand or realize that as a woman in society, what are you dealing with? Or like I said, if I grab you, Riley, versus Miyo grabs you, and Miyo's a solid world champion.
Oh, look at those guns.
In jiu-jitsu, she's great, but I'm a 180-pound guy, and she's 135, and I'm a small guy.
Be nice.
Okay. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my ass.
Shoot, you went the wrong way on that, Carl.
Brother, she's just so muscular. I just assumed muscle weighs more than fat. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making is having it led by a woman is important, I believe, as well. Because typically, too, women are more comfortable with women. Even in most of the classes at the college, they don't introduce men till 2 weeks later, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it 4 weeks?
Halfway through the program.
Halfway through the program. But them seeing that a woman can do these things. Also, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had fought MMA from 2006 to 2008. My first jiu-jitsu class, the instructor's wife almost choked me unconscious. Nice. And I was like, wow, this isn't so... And I would tend to agree with Miyo. Like, if I were to get into a street fight, there's a reason I'm saying, if I were to get into a street fight, heaven forbid, I'm going to bite you, gouge your eyes, grab you by the testicles. I'm going to do all those nasty fight things that are Krav Maga. So I think sometimes as jiu-jitsu people are like, oh, that's crap, this whatever. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what. I give you an example. Damon Morgan, high-level black belt, one of the best in Utah. I accidentally poked him in the eye with my thumb. He's on the ground, squealing, screaming, holding his eye. So I guess the point in all this is teaching the right self-defense is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Showing a female that it doesn't come down to just this. See that meal bigger than yours. It doesn't come down to that because she can hurt me in other ways. For eyes, sure. Groin, throat, so but yeah, I don't think I think the self-defense world has got it wrong, a lot of them, and it needs to be maybe adjusted. And I'm not just pushing for the Smart Defense program, but I think it's on the right track, right? Mm-hmm. Where a lot of these other programs are not. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be part of it. Whether Miyo's my friend or not, if I thought this was BS, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. I don't need to do this. Yeah. I have enough other ventures and so much other time. But I think it's important. Especially with two daughters, watching them in college and seeing the things, the lack of situational awareness. My daughter went to Westminster College in Salt Lake City. She played college soccer. She'd arrive to school in the morning, park in this underground parking. That's where I brought this up earlier, where it's dark. Well, she's not leaving till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and there's no cars in there at that time. So now you're setting yourself up in a situation. I wasn't victim blaming, but I'm trying to make her situationally aware. So anyhow, to kind of bring this full circle, it's important to handle these things the right way with the right information, handling them, not victim blaming. Having a female-led instructor, I think, is important. Having a male instructor there as well, that you can feel the difference, is important. These are all important factors that I see a lot of self-defense programs miss.
And on the lines of like that 280-pound roided out guy that taught me my first lesson, the moves that are effective for him don't apply to me, right? Like there's just a
For sure.
difference. And that's why to have a female-led program helps. Actually, when we were even developing the program, Jason, he's obviously he's my husband. I trust him 100%. We were taking curriculum and going, okay, come at me 90%. One, I trusted him. We knew how to tap, like all these things. And that's how we started throwing shit out. I was like, okay, even at 50%, it's not actually working. And then you have to
Yeah.
take into account like the height disparity, the weight disparity, the intoxication disparity. Like there's so many variables that go into it. It's very, very important, I think, for women to test the moves rather than the larger, stronger, faster males to test the moves. It's going to be a different efficacy.
So, will you speak to that a little bit? Because there is, I feel, a problem just societally today where girls are being told that they're exactly equal with the male. And when it comes to this physical strength and performance, it's not the case. But if they go through life thinking that, they're being deceived. And will you speak to that?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a feminist through and through, but I 1,000% have never wavered on like there is a difference in size, strength, speed, all of that, just biologically between men and women. And it used to really bother me when I was younger, when I was like in high school and college. It used to really piss me off that like just size and strength alone. But on the flip side, like men cannot do anything that women can do biologically. Like you can't grow a human, you can't nurture a human, you can't, like there's so many amazing things that both genders have that we need each other for. And
real.
there's, with my own girls, I raised them very specifically to know that they deserve every right opportunity. Like there's equality in other places that they have a right to. Like they should be able to vote. They should be able to own a home. They should be able to open a bank account. Like all the other equal rights that started with men and women. They just don't apply in the gender, which is why you're not going to see Carl competing in my division, right? Carl would murk everybody. Even the 19-year-old college Olympic wrestler, Carl's going to murk. Like it's just the way it is. And being open and honest about that. As a female, I think if you two try and tell women that, that's not going to go over so well. But I think women acknowledging that, but it's not like you're weaker. It's like you just have a different skill set.
Different.
But
Riley,
we don't want that coming as a surprise, right? The first time a young woman has a dude latch onto her wrist and goes, "Oh, that's a different grip than I'm used to." We don't want that surprise happening, and I think that's where I go, man. Miyo, speak to that, because I'm like, we are doing a disservice to these young ladies to tell them that.
Riley, here's a funny thing. I'm going to speak to that even from a male on male perspective. One, I think it's silly when we talk about jiu-jitsu and this old school mentality that size, speed, strength doesn't matter. Yep. Are you kidding me? Riley, you're probably, I don't know, you're 200-pound guy?
I'm 230, yeah.
Right?
I'm a big dude.
Okay. I'm 175, 180.
Now, I should be 175, 180. I'm a little fluffy, so let's call it that.
Yeah. But here's my point. This silliness of saying, oh, Carl can compete with Riley. Are you kidding me? There's a reason why there's weight classes.
Right.
All things equal, we're both black belts. You and I get on the mat.
I'm a brand new one, though.
It doesn't matter. This is my point. There's one of the Gracies says something about this. For every 10 pounds, it's like a belt, right?
Yeah.
So my point in this is this narrative that men should be, and I'm sorry, if men should be able to compete in women's sport, or trans athletes can. If I identify as a woman, I am winning black belt worlds at the adult division at 55 years old. I'm just big, strong, athletic. It is what it is. The same thing applies, though, when it comes to men on men. If I think I'm going to go, I'm a black belt world champion, Master 5.
Right.
I go to the purple belt adult division. these young, stronger, athletic guys are going to destroy me.
Yeah.
So don't preach this narrative that we're equal in these ways. Physically, we're not equal.
Yeah.
My wife is 10 times smarter than me. My daughters are much more capable. Mio and I grapple. Her flexibility is so much more, etc. Every time I grapple a female, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I
Yeah.
can't do the things I do to other men because of their ability. But I think it's just a silly narrative to say that we're equal physically,
No. And I love that you.
even amongst men's.
I
Go
have
ahead,
to
Neil.
add something that Johnny Carlquist told me that changed my entire perspective on the mat. So I came to Johnny as a blue belt from like a very toxic gym experience. Not my Pedro Sauer. I quit for 13 years, went back to a different gym, and was there for 3 years. And it was like a very toxic environment. When I came to Unified, I was like a 4-stripe blue belt. Took me a while. Got my purple belt under actually somebody else while I was training at Unified, and then full-time switched to Unified. And I remember coming up through purple and brown belt and feeling like I should be able to kick any blue belt male's ass. Like, what is happening? Do I need to be like, why am I can't tap this blue belt? And I was getting super frustrated. I was getting close to my brown belt. I'm like, what, like, do I just suck at jiu-jitsu? Should I quit? Like, I was super frustrated. And Johnny and I were training and grappling, and he's like, you do realize that even like the top level female black belts out there, you can call it a win if you can survive and keep yourself safe with these matches with these athletic young college blue belt and above, even white belts. And just this morning, I was the only girl in class. I went to an open mat class this morning at 5:30 a.m. Only girl on the mat, grappled some monsters, right? And if I could keep myself safe, I was like, I won today. Did I catch a submission on any of them? Nope. But did I keep myself safe? Yes. And that little comment from some, from a man that he's still on a pedestal for me and always will be. And to hear it from like the top level martial artists, it very much, I'm trying to think of the word. It just validated my experience on the mat, and it validated a more realistic set of goals for me to focus on. Because I do think that's such a misnomer, like, oh, jiu-jitsu saves you. Like, like any purple belt girl should tap any white belt guy. That's not reality.
Real.
Like,
Yeah.
anybody who's been on the mat for a long time knows that is not the reality. And so talking about it and changing your mindset. And then I'm a coach. I coach an all-women's team in jiu-jitsu, but as well as a coach in self-defense, I'm the one preaching Johnny's message. So it's really this like trickle down effect of how can you communicate that and help educate people to just a more realistic understanding of things.
Yeah. I had this conversation the other day. Do you know who Luis Heredia is?
From Maui
Sure.
Jiu-Jitsu?
From Maui Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
I love
So-
Luis.
He was up at our school, did a seminar last week, or this week, it was just a few days ago, but I drove him back to his hotel, right? And we were just talking about this part of self-defense in the jiu-jitsu context, but really in any context that is self-preservation, right? We talked about the way we grapple as older athletes. I think Luis said he's 64 now. I'm getting ready to turn 50. Carl, you said you're 55. How old are you, Mia?
48.
Yeah. So it's that like mindset of self-preservation goes back to almost like situational awareness, right? Risk mitigation. There's that aspect too, right? What do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah. I'm at 55 years old. I'm not the athlete I used to be. This is something that took me a while to learn in jiu-jitsu because I always thought I'm going to be the athletic, stronger, faster guy. Well, that went away about 10 years ago, maybe 15. You have to learn when I grapple, if I'm grappling a young purple belt that's big and strong, a lot of that is exactly what you said, Riley, survival. Mm-hmm. I'm going to survive. Hopefully he gets tired and I'll catch him. Yeah. But I may not catch him. It may just be to survive, period. You know who Hoffa is from Unified? He's
No.
been on the he's been on the PGF, and now he's on UFC
BJJ.
Jiu Jitsu. Yeah, BJJ. When he was 16, 17, I physically manhandled him. He's 18 now, and he beats me like a rented mule. So my success is if I can survive without being tapped by this young athletic guy, and it's a survival game. So that's why I always say it's being a small guy in jiu-jitsu is very similar to being a female in jiu-jitsu. So I understand I've got to be more technical. I have to be smarter. I have to just risk management is the name of the game as you get older. And my body, like Mio and I talked last night. I've got a quote super fight tomorrow. And I'm like, my body is so beat up. It's not what it used to be. I can't go if I train back to back days, Riley. Oh, I'm in bad shape, buddy. So I've got to realize this is a different way of training as we get older. I don't go as hard. And if I do go hard, here's the beautiful thing about it. I can go hard with you, Riley. I can go hard with you, Mio. I can't go hard with that blue belt, purple belt. I'll get hurt.
Yeah.
And people think, well, you're a black belt. And I'm like, yeah, they spaz out and do things that you're not used to experienced people doing. So I tailor my training more for higher level guys. I don't train with the white belts, blue belts nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah.
If that answers your question a little bit, kind of.
No, the black belts know enough how not to hurt you, right? it's
Yes,
like, you still have a good role, but
Yeah, and jujitsu is the ultimate ego checker, always, right? Like it checks your ego coming up through the ranks, and then as black belts, like my ego gets checked constantly because it's like I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. You know that saying? Like I can go one hard comp round and hang with any female, right? But then I need 2 rounds off. Like I've got to like rest and recover, and that's all so different now, and that comes down to ego. Like, can you put your ego on the shelf to keep yourself safe and to have longevity in sport? Cool. That's how you're going to stay in jiu-jitsu through your 60s, 70s, 80s. Is checking your
and that goes for any sport, right? I know these runners, you know, that were at one point they were fast. They were doing shorter distance, maybe 5Ks, 10Ks, but they were record breaker in their speed. Well, now they're in their 50s. That speed is gone.
Yep.
But they can still go long. Right? It's a different game, but they can still perform, but it's a different performance.
Yes.
And that's difficult when you're like I'm a fast twitch guy, sprinter, high jump. I that was my thing, and now I'm realizing, man, I don't have that. I did a wrestling tournament recently, and my mind told me shoot, and my body said, yeah, good luck. By the time I went to shoot, the guy's gone.
Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
And so it's like I have to adjust my game and do things more smartly to instead of just like using that. And the problem is, and Mio, you can attest to this, I'm sure, some of these younger kids will say, well, he's in shape or she's in shape, they should be able to, and it's like, no, in shape at 55 is different than in shape at 35. You know, I could have been out of shape at 35, and if I had this skill set, I'd have crushed me now, just because of that physicality, the endurance. You know, it's so, as like with the runners, I have to change my running pattern or my jiu-jitsu pattern. It's a very different game now. I have that one time, like Miyo said, I can do it once. I have one. I always save, like when I train, one really good hard comp round. It's usually for Damon, but there's always like someone that. You can't do 10 of those anymore, Riley.
Right.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Well, and to put another female perspective in, this happens often in cycles in women's lives, because just even giving up or deciding when to get pregnant, because that's X amount of time off the mat. And then once you have your baby, your joints are looser, your milk's coming in. Like, you have all these other physical things that are happening that you can't train like you did prior to pregnancy. And then for this whole section of a woman's life in her childbearing years, she has to tailor her training, her competitions, her goals, everything, if she chooses to have kids, right? That's something that you have to cycle through. And then even after you're done with your childbearing years, as you come through, perimenopause and menopause are something that is not talked or addressed about enough on the mat. And it changes everything. Just like low testosterone changes for you, we have 3 other factors, right? We've got other hormonal levels going on that totally impact your longevity in sport, and you have to be so smart about it if your goal is to stay on the mats.
There's a gal that we train with that she's young. She got married a few years ago, and then they had a baby, right? And then she came back to the mats. She's a purple belt, right? And it was, for her, it was shocking, the like groin muscles and everything around that, how she's like, I can't move my legs right here. I used to be able to, but I can't. Everything's changed. And so that was kind of a shock to her.
Everything changes to make your body open for birth. Like, women are remarkable creatures, but it does take a lot of intentional strength training to come back
for sure
after birth.
Yeah, and I remember hearing her talk about that, and I was grappling with her, and she's like, hold on, I got to stop, because I can't move my legs, and it actually is kind of painful, and it was that. She realized she needs some PT there to kind of re-strengthen that. So, hopefully she gets around to that, because I miss having her on the mat. She's been gone for a while now, because I think that was pretty discouraging. But she was a fun training partner. So we have gradually kind of almost invisibly transferred from the self-defense category into the athletic subject. And I do want to know, you guys are both champions at some level in jiu-jitsu, right? And multiple times. From a competitor standpoint, what does that day-to-day look like when it comes to training? What do you do to prepare for one of these events?
Go ahead, Mia. I'll take it after you.
Okay, it's probably going to be very different for both of us, I imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, which is good. That's why you get multiple perspectives. So, for a while, I was really, if I wasn't training 3 to 5 days a week, I felt like I had no business competing. Enter Jason South into the chat. He's like my biggest cheerleader. I trust him. He's definitely changed the way I compete from day one, even from when we were friends and not even together. His attitude and approach and perspective to competition has greatly shaped the way I compete now, all the way through. I think he coached me my last match at Purple Belt. And then he's been my coach ever since, all through brown and black. And his approach has always been, yes, you may not be able to get 3 to 5 days in a week because maybe you have 2 jobs, maybe your kids are sick, maybe, whatever, life happens.
Right.
You have 10 years of jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu, your body knows jiu-jitsu. And what is the goal? Is the goal to go win and smash everybody? Sure, always we want the gold medal. That's why we're going. But is it also to have fun and to be appreciative and honor your body for what it can do? Is it to show kids, or maybe like I help coach a high school wrestling team? Is it to show my high school wrestlers that like they can still get after it when they're pushing 50? Like, what are your goals? And I think for me, my goals have evolved and changed. And like, I've won Master Worlds 5 times between purple and brown, gi and no gi. Black belt, I've gotten skunked for 2 years in a row. I've made it to the finals one year, and I got bronze the other year. And it is obviously it's different levels at black belt, but
Sure.
also the amount of energy, time, resources I'm able to put into competing. I'm lucky if I train once a week for myself because I'm coaching twice a week. So if I can get in and learn and take class and train once a week, I'm lucky. And does that mean I'm not worthy of entering worlds, master worlds? No, because for me, I know I'm going to rely on those 10 years of jujitsu, all that comp experience. I've been competing since I was a white belt. Like I know how to manage my mental approach to it. And it's just trusting and believing in your jujitsu, but also knowing that nobody in my life is going to love me less if I lose. Like that
I
was
love
kind of
that
a hard
perspective.
thing for me to like come back to home base. And Jason was the one that's like, do you think your kids care if you lose? Do you think they're going to like love you less? Do you think that changes the way I feel about you if you lose? No, you're freaking getting out and getting after it when most people my age, our ages, don't. They don't compete. It's rare. It's rare.
Yeah.
So it's totally changed. Before I used to train like 5, 6 days a week, cross training, CrossFit, nutrition, everything's dialed. I'm obsessed and I go in ready. But now it's like, am I healthy? Great. Do I get a chance to get in the gym and do what I love? Great. Do I get to set the example for some people that look up to me? Great. Like check, check, check. Winning is just the gravy.
Oh, that's well said. Top that, Carl.
Impossible. Yeah, so it's interesting. I started training. I fought before I trained, and that's what actually brought me to jiu-jitsu. My first MMA fight, I fought one of Jeremy Horn, his guys, and I just got smashed. And anyhow, I found jiu-jitsu a couple years later. Actually, it wasn't even then, but I started competing early. I started competing as a white belt. I competed early and often. My training, because where I was at, and I was 38 when I started jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So I didn't start young. Yeah, I was 38. And was a white belt, 38, competing with the regular kids. I didn't go in the adult, or masters, anything. I always just competed. But I think that people put too much on winning, without a doubt. And so I competed at white belt. I actually went to Worlds for the first time at blue belt. Rich Cesena, Miyo, actually said, hey, let's go to Worlds. I'm like, what's that? And I just went and I competed. And, I'm an athletic guy. And so I just I muscled through it, to be honest with you. And, I took silver at blue belt, and I'm like, this is awesome. And I kept competing, and then I competed at purple belt, and brown and black. But I have never been a guy, because of where I was at in my stage of life. I've had a business since 1999, a machine shop. I had kids that I coached them in soccer, and I'm a very involved dad. Like, I'm the last person, right? Everyone else would come first. And so what I found is I was sacrificing sleep to do all these things. I'd work at 3 a.m. so that I could get to my kid's soccer game, etc. So competing was something I always did, but it wasn't like I didn't have the regimen that maybe Miyo did. I've been a 2 to 3 day a week training guy my entire jiu-jitsu career. So I would these guys would be like, oh yeah, I'd meet these guys at Worlds that they're like, oh yeah, I'm training 6 days a week. And I'm looking at them like, the hell? How do you have time to train 6 days a week? So anyhow, I just prioritized my family, my work. Those were more important. But I won purple belt worlds, brown belt worlds, and black belt worlds. I've won twice. But I think less sometimes is more. So I think especially, you got to realize in the masters division, most of us are hobbyists. We're not professional athletes. So I think some of these guys break their bodies down too much by overtraining, especially as you get older in age. And I haven't competed at Worlds since 2022 was the last time I competed. I think this is what it is when you're not like chasing belts. I don't even know. I'm 5 years plus into my black belt, so whatever that is. Maybe 2021 is when I got my black belt. I competed quite a bit at black belt, and then I quit in 2022, and I've done some super fights. But as far as training, I think I have a different mentality than Jason a little bit, because he teases me about I go to win, and if I lose, I am disappointed, and I'm not just there to have fun. If I'm gonna spend $1,000 to go to California and take the time and do it, I'm there to win.
Yeah.
If I lose, I can lose, and I have lost, but my goal is to win. And but I realize this is me. My wife could care less if I win anything. My daughters could care less. And I learned a really good this was a good thing that happened to me. And I'm going to tell you this story because it's applicable to this. My family usually doesn't come to watch me. I just don't like that. I'm not doing it for them. Purple Belt Worlds, my two daughters decided to come. It's the first, last, only time I've lost in the first round. And I came off the mat. I was so mad. And my wife, and I didn't not like outwardly display that. I was mad at myself. I'm like, hell, I lost. My daughters are here. I'm Superman. I should never lose, right? My wife said to me, Carl, this is good. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? And she's like, it's good for your daughters to see you lose, because they're high-level college soccer players and they lose. So they're going to think that you always have to win. And I fancy myself a pretty sharp guy, but I'm like, how has it taken me this long for someone to point this out to me?
Yeah,
but
for
the
real.
pressure that I put on as far as competing is on myself. It's not from any outside influences. But yeah, I love watching Jason compete because he is having fun. I literally go to just destroy you. And that is when I go compete. It's like, we joke. Some years ago, one of my friends said, most people don't know, because in the gym, I'm not the gym hero. Everybody, including every white belt, taps me. I cannot stand gym heroes. On the mat, I'm a comp guy. And so my buddy Josh one time said, because people have made the comments, how does that guy win anything? And my buddy Josh said, my buddy Josh is the cougar hunter. He's the real cougar hunter. And he said, I'm going to do his kind of redneck voice. He said, these fools have no idea what competition Carl is like, right? And so it got shortened. And I'm not sure if Miyo shortened that or my friend Ace to comp Carl. It's a joke, but the point I'm making is, in everyday life and everyday training, I'm pretty easygoing. Competition, man, I'm there to kill you. And that sounds terrible, but I'm there to compete and I'm there to win. And yes, I'm having fun, but I'm there to win. So we have maybe different perspectives, and that's good. But yeah, I don't understand the training 5 days a week. Like I said, I've got a super fight tomorrow. I've trained 3 days a week. I know how to do jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it for so long. It's literally a matter of just getting your cardio at a point when you get to, I say, our level. As long as my cardio's there, I'm good.
I love what both of you said. Was we have this like picture of athletes, right? That they only exist in the gym. Like, we'll see a UFC fight go on, right? And you think all this guy does is that you see the snapshot of his life. You don't realize that dude has a family. He's got a job, probably, maybe he lives in his car. Some of those guys do, but there's so much else going on in this person's world. Half the time they're fighting injured, right? There's the realistic part of any endeavor, right? Carl, you've owned a machine shop since 1999, right? There's always something going on there, and it seems all glorious. Hey, Carl's owned this business forever, but it's not. It's not easy.
No.
It comes with problems, and it comes with
No.
everyday life, and it comes with just like it's a drag sometimes, right? And so is training.
Right.
Sometimes, Mio, you said you only get to train once a week. Sometimes, great. That's what you get, right? Sometimes that's the stage of life, the season of life we're in. So that is so cool to hear, because I think that'd be encouraging for listeners of the podcast that sit there and see their own self instead of their social media, high points.
One last brief thing on that. It's funny. I had someone ask me years ago, what are you going to do if you can no longer do jiu-jitsu? And I'm like, are you serious? Jiu-jitsu is this much of my life. The majority of the time I'm in the mountains, hiking with my wife, hanging out with my buddy Josh, hunting, being around my family. I'm a grandfather. Those are the things that are important. My business, these are things that is my everyday life. I see guys that their whole life is jiu-jitsu, their whole identity is jiu-jitsu. This, even though a lot of people know me from jiu-jitsu, if I couldn't do jiu-jitsu tomorrow, I'd miss it, but I'd be like, next.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah, and I think it applies to like when you were talking about you compete to win. Like I do too. I'm competitive. I hate to lose. Da da da. But the way you win and the way you lose speaks to your character. And
100%.
Yeah, that
Yes.
change, and that's what shapes your experience on earth, right? Is like, can I continue to get better and to be kinder and to be the best version of myself I can be? And I see women, I don't really follow men's jiu-jitsu. I should, but I don't. I see like the women who are winning things, even locally or nationally or internationally, right? There's very different levels, but there are some women who are incredibly insane competitors. They never lose. They're, just everything works, and they're assholes. And
Yeah,
so to me,
right.
I'm like, I don't give a shit if you won that because you're a jerk. Like, to me, it's, can you do it with grace and respect and kindness? And can you better our sport? And can you do something for the younger generation that you didn't have? Then those winners, man, I will like follow your journey, be your biggest cheerleader. And if you lose, it doesn't change how I feel about you,
Yeah.
because the quality of human you are is translated to the quality of athlete you are on the mat as well. Like, there's so much
Awesome.
overlay between your character development and the way you show up in competition.
Yeah.
I think that transfers, though, to everything. So, Riley, I go to kill everyone on the mat.
Oh, yeah.
If you asked anyone who knows me in jiu-jitsu, this is usually, he's the nicest guy, he's so humble. Inside, I'm a rage monster. I'm trying to just destroy you. But after if I win, I'm humble. I never brag about it. I don't say anything about it. I downplay my jiu-jitsu ability. This is a podcast, so we're talking about it. Very different.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing applies in business. None of my guys call me the boss. If I take them out to lunch and they say, this is my boss, Carl, time out. We're co-workers.
Yeah, we're homies here.
I cannot stand that arrogance in life and everything, whether it's on the mat, whether it's in jiu-jitsu, in my work environment, my home life, whatever. You better stay humble, because if not, you will get humbled. Somewhere you're going to get humbled. And so, like, I think so. I that probably came across a little bit
No.
crass or whatever.
Not at all.
But
Not at all.
it's you just have to be humble in everything in life, and especially this is a business podcast, right?
No, it's an achievers
Always
podcast.
remember-
Business athletes, you're going to hear all of that on here. Yep.
But always remember, like, in my thought process is like, you have to realize the most important thing in my life is my family, number one. Mm-hmm. I had an opportunity as a minority-owned business to utilize that to get contracts. And I said, not only no, but hell no. Why should I get a contract when maybe that Caucasian guy who has the same ability as me, you're not offering him that. People will look at this differently. I don't really care. My point is whatever I earn, I should get. One. And number two, stay humble. Three, just to make more money. Does that, if I changed my business plan and went in another direction, I wouldn't be able to spend the time. I never missed a soccer game. I never missed a school play. I never missed anything my kids did. I would go into work early. I'm saying all this because I think sometimes so many people miss the perspective in life, and even in business, is make more money, make more money, make more money. My mother-in-law died at the age of 48 from cancer. The lesson I took from that, I spend money and travel and hang out with my family, and those are the important things in life. All of this other crap about your jiu-jitsu achievements, or you have a business with 20 employees or 50 employees or 1,000 employees. Are you a good person?
Yeah.
I don't cuss as much as Miyo, but I'm going to tell you one thing that I tell my kids. Life is easy. Don't be an asshole.
No,
If you can just be a good person in life,
Yeah.
and be a person who's respected. I've been humbled so many times in my life in different ways, but at the end of the day, just don't be an asshole. Life's not that difficult. All these people, and I understand there's mental issues, this issue, that issue, and a lot of people's childhoods changed their lives, etc. I get all that. But life's not that hard, man. It's really not.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard if you just kind of live life by, don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole to your spouse. Don't be an asshole to your kids. Don't be an asshole to your coworkers. Don't be an asshole on the mat. So I've said asshole enough, but you know what I mean, is don't be a butthole.
I'm going to make a clip out of this.
Life's easy. Life's easy, Riley. It's not that difficult.
Love it.
You know.
I love it.
Sorry.
I want to talk about the pit challenge, right? You guys are getting ready to put on this event. I'm excited about it because it just sounds stinking cool. But I want you to talk about first, give kind of an intro of what the event is, so especially non-jiu-jitsu people can understand. But then I want to talk about kind of what goes into one of these events, because there's a lot of moving parts, man. Miyo, you got that face on. I want you to take that one.
10 minutes, so it's Miyo.
You want me to start? I can start.
Yes, please. Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep pulling in the female perspective because that's where my brain is. Carl and I were working together with Proving Grounds. Carl's the founder, not me. I hopped in and was like their first female super fight, and then first female quartet. We've grown the female part of competing, and the reason we did that is because there were not opportunities for women elsewhere, not equal opportunities, right? Especially in the pay. So Proving Grounds has always been the industry leader in that. And
if I may, I'm going to interject. Proving Grounds, Riley, was an invitation-only tournament. I started in 2016. From the inception, I paid women and men the same amount, whether you were white belt, blue belt, purple belt, whatever. So that's what Miyo is speaking to with Proving Grounds. Okay. Carry on.
Yes. So that was Proving Grounds was an invitational. It was this amazing, incredible event that Carl grew and built over the years. And we decided to go a new direction. And the Pit Challenge is the only tournament of its kind in the country, in the world that I know of, and I've been researching. So what it is it's a regular grappling tournament, but it's in these pit style matches. So there's no.
So it's got the slanted walls.
Yeah. So there's no out of bounds. We have aggressive rules because we kind of asked a lot of our mentors, like, what would you change about competing? What works for you? What do you like? What do you want to see different? And overwhelmingly, like the IBJJF rules don't serve modern jiu-jitsu is kind of what we heard. And so we've adapted our rules a little bit, and which are some of my favorite things about the Pit Challenge is you get 4 points for crucifix. I love Crucifix. I am under Johnny Carlquist, who is the mayor of Crucifix Town. Like, so we train and drill that a lot, and it's an amazing way to control someone, and I think it deserves points. And so we give 4 points for crucifix control. You don't have to put hooks in before you go right to the body triangle on back control. You get stalling. So stalling is a little bit like wrestling. If you get called for stalling, your opponent gets a point. Rather than advantage and disadvantage, we're just on this point system. But it's where, now when I say we're the only kind in the country, I mean that because yes, you see matches in the pit all the time. That's very popular right now, but you see one at a time. And it's a very high level invitation. It's very, very hard to get into that as the average jiu-jitsu, competitor. And so we have 4 pits running at the same time, just like you'd have 4 mats running at the same time at, like, say, a regular Naga or whatever. But with our more aggressive rule set, and then the difference, there's no out of bounds. That changes things greatly because a lot of IBJJF point players use the points to their advantage, and the out of bound rule is something that gets abused, in my opinion,
Sure.
or taken advantage of, in my opinion. And so the action is very fast. And then you take into account that we have started taking some of what we love about Proving Grounds Invitational, which was the invitation part of it, and making matchups, right? If there's nobody in your division, we're going to do our best to create a fair matchup for you. And I love that some other tournaments have taken that into account. So like Pro Open, our friend Max runs a Pro Open. He does an amazing job. And he started doing super fights or individual matchups as well, which can only benefit the entire community, right? I don't give a shit that, he's doing the same thing we're doing. I think it's great because then the level of jiu-jitsu and the level of competition gets raised for everybody.
Support each other.
Yeah.
I'm interjecting again, but that is the biggest problem I see in jiu-jitsu. It's like they're our competition. Max is not our competition. I'm competing tomorrow for Max, bringing people to his event. Let's promote jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yep. So anyways, the Pit Challenge is kind of our baby and our dream, and we want to take it nationwide. And we have incredible partners. Matt and Mike are partners with us. It's not just Carl and I. And it's a very different business model, which also helps Callie and Jason let us do it.
So everyone thinks that the business they own is the only business that really has challenges, we'll say. So what are the challenges of the Pit Challenge? Talk about that behind the scenes. Oh yeah, you just did the floppy lips thing. What is that? Business owners, I want to talk to you for a second. Do you have a retail space inside your location? If so, I want you to think about something. Your customers are buying electrolytes. You know that, right? The problem is they're not buying them from you. Well, Salty Electrolytes can help fix that with their wholesale program. They can bring these sales to you in-house so that your customers get the electrolytes they love from the company they love, you. All you have to do is head over to goearnyourSalt.com and scroll to the bottom of the page and click Apply for Wholesale. Do it now before you forget. I know your type, I'm one of you. Once again, that's goearnyourSalt.com. The link is at the bottom of the homepage. There will also be a link in the description on this video. And now, my friends, go earn your salt.
There's a lot of challenges, especially because we're new. And I'm so grateful that people have been patient with us because as we grow and as we figure this out, it's brand new. It's never been done before. This pit style of competing's never been done where it's multiple pits. So people have been patient, and we really appreciate that. But some of the behind the scenes problems, how do you make a pit? How is it going to be durable? How are you going to travel with it? How are you going to, do advertising on it? How are you going to, who can fix it right in the middle of the freaking show if some behemoth slams someone else into it? Like, there's so many behind the scenes issues. Like, how do you get your logo to be trademarked so that nobody else steals it? How do you make fair divisions? How do you advertise? How do you price it? How do we staff it? How do you, it's endless. How do we file our freaking taxes? Like
Yeah.
there's so
Yeah.
many.
So for a lot of years, Riley, Grappling Industries, when they would come to town, what they would do is they would get one person to kind of help organize referees, table staff, that type of stuff. I was that guy in Salt Lake for Grappling Industries for quite a few years, and so those are part of the little obstacles. Is okay, staffing, good referees, good table staff, because at the end of the day, that's what the pit challenge. We had a referee staff of high-level black belts. Hoffa, Damon, Shannon, Itzel. These are top-of-the-line black belt referees, which is important in my opinion. I've done a lot of refereeing throughout the years, and having a good ref can make or break, a match. When to get involved, when not to get involved. Those are obstacles that, come into play when you're running a tournament like we run. Just in the pits themselves, I mean, you can imagine, Riley, these are wood pits, weigh hundreds of pounds. We put together with mats on them. There's a lot of little variables that are different than running a Grappling Industries or a Naga, where they throw down some mats and have the matches. That's not what we do. We're looking at making metal pits now. I mean, and that's a huge expense. You've got to factor that into play. So you buy some mats, throw them down. It's a big difference versus that than actually having pits built. It's a lot of money. So those are some of the obstacles we've been running into. But overall, man, I'm just excited to bring jiu-jitsu, share jiu-jitsu, spread jiu-jitsu. For as much as I say jiu-jitsu is not a big part of my life, it is a big part of my life.
Sure, a big part of your life.
Yeah. It is, unfortunately. Yeah.
I love, Mio, you talked about, how do you pay taxes? How do you find staff? How do you do all these things? And, it's that classic, you're both jiu-jitsu technicians. But that doesn't mean you can just directly translate that into business people, right? And so the technician part it's a different art form from the business aspect of it, right? So you've got some experience in that with proving grounds and that, but
well, and luckily I was a
whole
small
new thing.
business owner for 20 years. He's been a small business owner. Mike and Matt are small business owners. So like we're well versed in it, but it's a lot, It's just.
But even that, it's still it's still difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the goal is always to push forward better opportunities for the jiu-jitsu athletes in the country. That's kind of our why.
Well, I'm excited. So say when this event is happening.
May 30th in Boise at Meridian High School. Registration is live now. thepitchallenge.com or the Pit Challenge on Instagram. If you can follow, like, share, engage in our content, that helps a ton to get the word out. It's a very grassroots, effort to get us to grow.
Awesome.
We've had some competitors travel down from Boise, the Straight Blast Gym guys, Jason Flynn, who's been phenomenal throughout my proving grounds and the Pit Challenge, always shows up, always competes for us. And so, man, we're excited to put on another event. We're excited to have you guys show up. And, man, we look forward to spreading jiu-jitsu in Boise.
That is so cool. Can't wait. You said you got your venue. That popped up just recently, right? Just in the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Riley. Riley helped us out there as well.
Well, I tried, but you ended up getting a different venue. But I'm so
you
glad it
helped
worked
us
out.
out still. Yeah, it did. Yeah, so. But we
awesome.
Appreciate your time, Riley. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to. So listen, can we do just a few get to know you guys questions as we kind of close this thing up?
Yeah.
You bet.
All right. So this podcast is called the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, right? That's the tagline of my electrolyte brand. And when you hear that term, that phrase, go earn your salt, what does that mean to you?
Ladies first.
You want me to go
I'll
first?
tell you.
Well, I love the word
Please.
earn in anything because I don't like being given shit. I want to earn everything. Because I got a chip on my shoulder. I got to prove stuff,
No.
Yeah, but go earn your salt. Your salt is your gold medal, right? Whether it's a healthy relationship or a literal gold medal or a successful business or a kid that excels at life, like go earn it. Like it's gonna take work, but it's gonna be worth it.
Love it. How about you, Carl?
Yeah, mine's a little bit different because I love history and I understand the basis of earning your salt. The Roman times, that was your pay, and you had to earn your salt. But I transfer it even further. I'm a big fan of Francis Ngannou. And Francis worked in the salt mines for years in Cameroon. And if anyone earns their pay or earns their salt, and working in a salt mine, that just kind of, it brings it all together to me of earning your salt. That's, yeah. Roman times, right?
Yeah,
I love
for
it.
real. For real.
What does it mean to you, Riley?
That it was
Yeah,
actually
good,
came
good,
from
man.
that. It was that realization that just nothing comes for free. It's like we had to get out there and earn it. I heard this phrase one time, this quote that said our life is designed perfectly to get the results we're getting. And I thought, man, it's like the best thing I've ever heard. It just struck me, and that's what go earn your salt means to me, is that we got to earn anything that's worth having, right? And if what'd you say? You don't like getting free crap? Is that what you said, Mio?
I like getting free electrolytes.
Ooh, yeah, we'll hook you up for being on the episode here for sure. Carl won't let me hook him up, but hey.
No.
All right, you two. What is your besides jiu-jitsu? We've already talked about that. What's your favorite pastime?
Ladies first.
Again.
Of course.
So, like Carl mentioned, how family is his number one thing. Like family to me is everything. And so anything I get to do with my kids, my two daughters, like that makes me so freaking happy. But I also love to garden, and I love to homestead and raise animals, and we have chickens, and I love to read books. I'm a super introverted person. I would rather be home with my family than anything else.
It's funny, you don't come across as introverted at all.
I can turn it on. I just have to recharge after.
Yeah. I hear you there. Yeah, for sure. Carl.
Yeah. I love to hike. I'm an outdoorsy guy. I love the outdoors. I love to hike. I'm a granola cruncher. I love being in the mountains. I love my thing is I love the national parks. My wife and I, we just have our bucket list. We're just knocking them off one at a time. I love being out of doors. I hate being inside the house. I'm not as Mio says she's an introvert, and it's funny because I'm probably a lot more of an introvert. Mio has more friends than anyone I know. I am pretty private. So yeah,
it's so funny because both of you say that.
That sounds weird to you, like.
Yeah.
You are not an introvert, but anyhow.
My circle's about this big, Carl, and you're in it.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
It's true. That's
It's so funny because when I first met you, Carl, was at the Gate City 5 tournament as a ref, and you were the head ref for that event. And I'm sitting there watching you from a distance work that room and talking to people and interacting with everybody, and I'm like, it makes me think you're just full of crap when you say you're introverted, because you're. Any room you're in, you're involved with everything.
I wouldn't say I'm
going on
introverted. I'm not introverted, but I'm pretty private. So it's like I do have a very small circle, but I'm definitely not introverted. That was probably, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah. But Mio's definitely not introverted.
So there's a new term called ambivert, which my daughters actually sent to me because they just give me a lot of shit about being an introvert. But an ambivert is somebody that can turn on being an extrovert, but it just costs them a lot. And so for me, we do the pit challenge, and I'm on, we're kissing babies, we're shaking hands, we're doing the whole thing, we're working the room. I have to shut everything off and out for the next 2 days to
Yeah, I think I probably fall in that category too, because I'll go teach jiu-jitsu class in front of a crowd doing that kind of thing all week. And then when Friday hits, Guys are like, "You coming to Saturday open mat?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm done."
That makes
I'm
sense. That makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What is your favorite band? Favorite music?
Ladies
Always
first?
ladies.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
gonna stick with that
Always.
theme. It's ladies
Okay.
first.
Okay. Let's see. Favorite band. Well, Jason and I love to go to concerts. Like that's definitely something we love to do in the summer. And we saw Chris Stapleton live last year. That man blew me away. Like live and the amount of like instruments he can play. And I mean, I love Chris Stapleton. And then last night we go for a hike every night together, and I was playing him some Bonnie Raitt. Back in the day, I'm like, Bonnie Raitt is classic blues, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
So I love good music. I'm not a huge fan of like electronic or simulate. You know what I mean? Like I like instruments and songwriting and voices. I love the Red Clay Strays. Like I don't know. I went to Janae Aiko with my daughters, and she was incredible. She played the harp and like beautiful voice, and I just love good music.
Yeah, I'm actually scared of the AI influence in music that's coming. I'm like,
Crazy.
because that human part of the discipline it takes to get good at music, and even the styles of music that are coming out. Like I remember, I used to play guitar a little bit. I've never gotten good at it, but just to kind of strum songs. But I was always frustrated. I was like, I can play these 4-chord songs, and whoopee, that's not musical talent. That's being able to strum a few chords, and I love it when you hear someone who's really good on an instrument. It blows my mind. But Carl, what's your favorite band?
Yeah, I love a lot of different genres of music, but sometimes it surprises people. My two favorite are reggae and country. I grew up in a small town, so I love country, but reggae and the main reason, Riley, is both of them are typically clean. Sometimes country's not always positive, but positive sometimes, and so I really, really love reggae music, even since I was a child. I discovered country more so when I've gotten older, but I hate like pop music. I hate electric. So, but my favorite bands, some of my favorites, like I've always, as cliche as it sounds, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
But what has happened to reggae is reggae has been transformed into Hawaiian reggae is amazing. So Common Kings is a great band.
Ian Fongi, I love him.
Yeah. So there's so many good ones. And then country. Years ago, Callie and I, my wife and I, we won tickets to go to Tim McGraw and Kenny Chesney. And I love Tim McGraw. I love his soul and his music. I'm not really a fan of the old country that's more twangy, but I don't like the new pop country either. But so
That's a miserable mix of music. Yeah, pop and country.
Well, and here's a little tidbit about Carl that a lot of people don't know. He loves lyrics. He loves the art form to the lyric. And so if he posts something, like he's been intentional and thoughtful about the pairing. Like I always love when he posts about his family, because I immediately am like listening to the lyrics. I'm like, yep, like nails it. Like he's a big lyric fan, and he's helped me pay more attention to that too.
Do you remember the song? There's a song I sent to Jason and Emil before their marriage.
Yes.
Before you got married, the day before.
It's Ben Adams, right?
Yeah. Ben Platt.
Or Ben Platt. Yeah.
Grow as we go.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
And what
anyhow,
about the one
side note.
you sent me when I was having the worst ever mom moment? And you sent me.
I think it was Alicia Keys, maybe, and it was you're doing a good job.
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
I
So,
bawled.
yeah. I love lyrics. I know. Sorry, Riley.
I'm the guy who will listen to
but
like
yeah.
Eddie Vedder, and when he just mumbles, but I'm getting down with it. I'm like, I don't know what he just said.
That's you just make up some words that
Yeah.
apply, right?
You've seen those memes of his, right? Just remember when Eddie Vedder said, blah, 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 blah. It's great.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's something quirky about you that people don't know?
That's quirky. or unexpected, maybe.
Maybe a little nerdy. Who knows?
A little nerdy. Well, and maybe I'm being stereotypical, but I'm a super big Studio Ghibli fan. So I'm a little,
What
and
the
that's
heck is that?
anime.
I don't know either. What is
Yeah,
that?
anime. So it's kind of like Japan's
Oh,
Disney.
gotcha.
Studio
Gotcha, yeah.
Ghibli, like I have a Studio Ghibli tattoo. It matches my daughter's. Like it's kind of Japan's Disney, but like way better. Way better. So I'm a little bit of a nerd that way.
Nice, Carl.
Quirky. This is I watch a lot of reality shows. And it's not because I like reality TV, but I like to watch people's interactions and how people act with each other. Don't you dare tell her about. I thought you were going to talk anyhow.
No, I have
We
something
have some
that's quirky about Carl.
Oh, let's hear it.
anyhow. So yeah.
No, keep going. So reality shows.
That's it. I love it just because I'm a real observer of people and how they interact, and I can spot fakeness fairly quickly. And so I just like reading people, understanding them. You can tell a lot about a person pretty quick, I think, if they're genuine or not.
Yeah.
my
Okay, so
goodness.
something quirky about Carl that it's so endearing, and that's why I'm sharing it. He has separate deodorant for his body and
Oh,
his
jeez.
balls. But let me tell you something. If you stink, like I got nothing for you. I got no time, no energy, nothing for you. And Carl is one of the best smelling partners on the mat, 24/7.
Oh,
Whether
boy.
he's fresh from 7 rounds or whether he's just competed, he always smells clean. Always. Like I love training with him because of, I mean, there's many reasons, but that's one of them. I'm a total smellophobe. Like if you smell bad, no thank you.
Okay,
But
Carl. Go ahead and
yeah,
keep
tell
going.
him.
What's the best? What's the best ghee soap then? What's the for your?
Do you remember when I told you earlier we're a pretty old school family? Mm-hmm. Traditional. I think my wife uses
Laundry.
Tide. I've never done laundry. And let me clarify on this. I'm not an old school Archie Bunker. My wife does what she wants when she wants. I listen to her. She runs my books at my business. We just have a pretty traditional marriage. So that sounds weird, but I think she uses Tide. Like the pods, I think. But my geese do smell good.
Always. And let me give you the best recipe, and it's actually on my Instagram. I need to pin it because so many people ask me. I'm a laundry snob. Like Jason cooks and cleans and like does all the things because we're not a traditional household, but he is not allowed near the laundry. Like I'm a total laundry snob. And so for gear, like to strip your gear, especially like no-gi gear, if you get, and you just can't get the stink out even though you've washed it.
Yeah.
So the formula is you get a bathtub full of like the hottest, most boiling water. I even take boiling water and pour it in my hot tub or in my tub because my hot water doesn't get that hot. And then you put white distilled vinegar, a cup of white distilled vinegar, a cup of borax, a cup of bleach, and a cup of it's the Odor Blaster OxyClean. So it's specific. It's like the blue with the purple highlights. It's a specific type of OxyClean. Mix that all together, get it all dissolved before you put your clothes in there. Like, and that's why it's a bathtub, because a cup of anything is a lot. So use your bathtub, get the whole thing dissolved. Put clean gear in there, right? Gear that you've already washed so you can't get the stink out. Put clean gear in there, soak it overnight, and then you'll see like within an hour, you'll be like, holy shit, that's disgusting. And then you like shove it all to the side, drain the tub, refill it with hot water, rinse, keep it in there for another 12 hours. And then when you're ready to take it out, wash it on hot with the same combination in the washing machine. Maybe not the bleach, depending on the color of your gear that you're putting in there. But no, I'm telling you, like,
You should have did just a Mio podcast. She's so detailed. I love it.
I love it. Yeah, you should post it though, because I want to get a copy of that post.
yeah, I'll send it to you because it's the recipe.
There was one time I was
so
grappling with
detailed. I love it.
this kid. We were in the kids class. I was grappling with this kid, and he goes, "You smell like popcorn." And I'm like, okay. That may not be the worst smell in the world, but when it's attached to the way you smell on a jiu-jitsu mat, that's not good. So,
Popcorn.
and I
Popcorn's
usually
okay,
just
but
boil my stuff. I'll just boil it and then take it out. But I screwed up one time, and I boiled all my gear, my rash guards. But then I kind of forgot and just left it in there, and the wrinkles that when I stuffed it down in there, they set, and it never came out.
Oh.
It stayed wrinkled, like you could see it, and so it ruined the rash guards. So there is something there, to art form of making this all work, right?
oh yeah,
I love it.
for sure,
I love it.
for sure. Well, and I can
Okay, you
even
post
tell
that.
a
Promise
person-
me you'll post that, and I won't tag me.
Oh
in it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I should pin it out to my page. There's even a guy that we grapple. You know who he is at Unified. The second I started grappling with him, I was like, oh, "You smell like Mr. Bubble!" Like I was so excited because the pink kids. Bubble bath. He's- Yeah, I have twins that are 3 years old, and that's their favorite thing. Like it's nice, but
Nice.
down to the smell. That is that's a quirky thing about me. Like I have a ninja nose.
Yeah. Well, my wife does too, and I don't, but I have grappled with the occasional stinky person, and it's nasty when that happens. Okay, okay. Real briefly, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Briefly and in life.
I can go first if you need to think for a
Yes.
minute, Mio.
Yes.
My dad told me a long time ago, you got to give up something to get something. And I've stuck with this the rest of my life because most of the time it's your time. If you have a business, you got to give up your time for your business. If you want a relationship with your wife, you got to give up something to get something. And so I've tracked that through my entire life. You always have to sacrifice somewhere. Unfortunately for my health, most of the time it's sleep. But you got to give up something to get something.
Yeah, and I think I would say for me, anything in life worth having costs something, right? It's hard. Anything worth doing is going to be hard. So when you're in the middle of the suck, like really embracing the suck and understanding, if you don't have the suck, you never have that perspective of when things are really good either.
Well said, both of you on that. So, tell me, what is an item on your bucket list?
I want a homestead.
You already have chickens. What more do you need?
Yeah, but I want like a huge ass greenhouse and like I want a hydroponic culture. I want ducks and lambs and goats and I want to raise my own beef and like process my own honey. Like I want a homestead.
Shoot, getting for reals. How about you, Carl?
Yeah, I love to travel. Travel's my thing. I'd love to see the Northern Lights. That would be something that I think would be fun, awesome to do. So yeah, Northern Lights is on the bucket list for sure.
I've never
And
seen
one
it.
other thing, I have to see every national park in the U.S.
Okay, so you mentioned national parks earlier, and this is again a question for my sake and my sake only. When you go there, like I go to national parks, I love them, but I do not visit the tourist spots. I go everywhere but that.
Sure. Right. Yeah. So I think it's a catch-22 because those are the hot spots.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what happens is most people are not going to hike more than 2 miles.
Yeah.
That's the general rule of thumb is you get back into the spots. So this is where I probably OCD. We're getting ready to go to the California coast. I will research it, watch YouTube, watch videos, and it's like, my wife's like, oh my gosh, but, because a lot of times it's the off-the-grid places that are really cool. And a lot of times we travel very economically. We do a lot of car camping, just anyhow. So that's how we do it. But definitely get back in. I'll go 20 miles. My wife's 10 miles or less, but I will go 20. I don't mind going deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. I like that off the beaten path. And you're right. You don't have to get very far before you get away from most people, right?
Right.
Okay, like I said, that was a selfish question. Okay, you two, what are your favorite book of all time? Something you recommend everyone read?
Okay, so for work and just the general, like the beginning of this podcast and everything, The Body Keeps the Score.
Watch this. I know where she was going. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
good. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. There's three, right? Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, and then Transforming Trauma with Jiu Jitsu is another. So those three are really amazing as far as like work and learning and education goes. My favorite book of all time, like otherwise, I probably couldn't nail it to one, but I really like historical fiction. And Ken Follett has a really great series that I love, World Without End. Like it's like a 6-book series, and so Ken Follett is probably one of my favorite authors. But I'm a sucker for smut, you guys. Like I love the vampire smut. I love the famous assassin. I love because my work is so heavy. Like every day I'm like working with survivors. It's heavy. We're moving legislative sessions. We're doing like it's heavy, heavy, heavy. I want to like use reading as a checkout a lot of times. So I love the fantasy books and like the vampire series and the I just finished one called the Gilded Prisoner series, which was awesome. It was like 6 books and totally like fae and warriors and like all. So I love to read. And I'm also, you guys, you got to read Yesteryear. So I just started this book. I'm like halfway through, just started this week. But it follows like a social media influencer who's like, you know, trad wives are so like popular right now, traditional wives. Kind of, but Carl, you and Kelly don't even have this. Like a trad wife is barefoot baking from the grain they grew that they had the mill by themselves. You know what I mean? It's not doable.
Homestead, right? That's what they.
Kind of, but it's the premise of the book is that it's take this woman who has millions of dollars at her disposal, but she's an influencer, kind of like Ballerina Farms or one of those famous ones. But behind the scenes, she's got 4 nannies and like a crew that, you know. Anyway, so Yesteryear takes this influencer, and it's so witty and funny the way the writing is, and then she ends up being transported back to the same property in Idaho, by the way. In 1855, and she's like, oh shit, like trad wife is like literal trad wifing is, you know, it's just so far it's very interesting. So yes,
This is harder than I thought. Yeah.
I have so many, like I love to read.
That's awesome. Carl.
My all-time favorite book is Black Like Me. And I can't remember the author's name. It's slipping me right now. And it's not for the reasons that a lot of people think. I'm not race is not an issue with me. But the reason why I like it so much is because it puts you in someone else's shoes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't do that. And so I love the book because what happens, I'll give you a really quick, brief synopsis. It's a true story. This reporter goes to a skin doctor. I can't think of my mind is gone right now. But the dermatologist. Well, it's not even. Anyhow, he takes pills that changes his skin tone to black, and then this is set in at real time the late 50s, and he goes around in the South and sees how people react to him as a black man versus a white man. And so it's like I said, this isn't about race, but it's just about putting yourself in someone else's shoes to see if I was a part Asian female, what would it be like to be a woman in today's society? Or right now, being a white man in America is a little bit tough on certain things, right? Mm-hmm. So just putting yourself in someone else's shoes. That's why I love that book. I read that book probably when I was 12, and then again a couple of times. And it's just an amazing book.
No,
I highly recommend it. Black Like Me. And I'll think of the author.
Did you see that there was that gal that made herself up to look like a guy and then went to experience what guys experience in the world? And that story's cool. It's I think it's more video. It's not a book, but Should disclaimer that it may be a book too, but I saw the video part of the interviews that she went through, and she's like, it is not what I thought at all. Like pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, Miyo.
Man.
Yeah, Miyo.
I'll try it.
So let's talk about where you guys can be found, social media tags, that kind of thing.
Just Utah Jits Mama on Instagram, Jits Mama on TikTok. I'm not really on TikTok. And utahjitsmama.com is my website. And then that you can also find Jason on there as well for his blades.
Nice. Yeah, because he's the knife maker, right?
Yes, he's a true artist. Like, it's the things he comes up with, man. He's the Renaissance man that nobody knows he is.
Oh my gosh. I saw some of his blades at the Train High Camp last year, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Carl, social media.
My Instagram handle is carl.warren.g.sims. My real name. I was Warren G before Warren G the rapper. So that's yeah. So that's it. And then just on Facebook, if anyone uses that anymore, just Carl Sims. And then of course the Pit Challenge is on Instagram as well. So yeah,
awesome, you guys. Well, I'll make sure that I have all that information. If I don't have the websites and that thing, please send them to me so I have that and we can tag them in the thing. You both sent me a good description, so we're going to be great there. I'm excited to air this episode. I'm going to get this one out quick because we got an event coming up that we want to promote here. So. But listen,
Thank you.
I'm really honored that you both came on. This was a fun conversation. I thought it flowed super well, and it was just fascinating to hear both your stories and kind of what you're doing in this world to make it a better place. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, such a good time.
And I'm so glad I found your podcast, Riley. I listen to it now, and I was listening to the Barefoot Shoe Guy. I know Mona and Mike very well, so I listened to their podcast. You're an excellent interviewer. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you guys so much. Well, go earn your salt, you two.
Riley.
Hey, you've just finished up this episode, and I want to know, are you or someone you know a getting after it, go earn your salt type of person? If so, message me directly on Instagram at the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, and perhaps we can have you on the show. Also, if you like this content, leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And perhaps this podcast can help you and them go earn your salt.